That letter looks fake, sir, and you're clearly not family. The security guard snatched the handwritten paper from Tommy's hands, barely glancing at it before tossing it back dismissively. Staff Sergeant Tommy Holloway, Bronze Star recipient, 23 years Army, caught the letter before it hit the ground. The paper was yellowed with age, written in the shaking hand of a dying soldier. Martinez Jose, room 304. I'm dying, brother. Sir, this is ICU. Family only. The second guard stepped forward. That piece of paper doesn't prove anything. Tommy's voice was steady. Jose Martinez asked me to come. He's been waiting. Are you listed as next of kin? I'm his brother. The first guard smirked. Legal brother? Because you don't look related. Tommy stared at the letter. The last communication from the man whose life he'd saved in Fallujah 20 years ago. The man who'd written 3 pages to call in a promise. Don't let me die alone. He'd driven 18 hours straight to get here, because some promises were written in blood. If you believe no veteran should ever be treated this way, type honor in the comments. This community stands together. 20 minutes passed. Tommy remained in a plastic chair, letter resting on his knee, eyes fixed on the restricted doors. Hospital staff moved past him, some glancing with curiosity, others with practiced indifference. A nurse approached. Sir, are you all right? I'm here to see someone. Room 304. She glanced at her tablet. That's ICU. Family only. He is family, Tommy said simply. Are you listed as next of kin? Tommy shook his head. Not that kind of family. She moved on. Tommy unfolded the letter with care. The paper crinkled softly, a sound that carried decades of memory. He didn't read it. He'd memorized every word months ago. Instead, he traced one finger along the edges, following old stains and new creases. The letter had been written in a VA hospital in Phoenix. 3 pages of shaky handwriting, words sometimes trailing off when pain medication kicked in. But the message was clear. I'm dying, brother, and I'm scared. Tommy had driven 18 hours straight to get here, slept in his car, all to keep a promise made in a foxhole outside Fallujah 20 years ago. The promise was simple. Never let a brother die alone. His phone buzzed, a text from his daughter. Dad, you don't have to do this. Tommy deleted the message without responding. Some promises weren't negotiable. A security guard walked past again. Sir, you can't wait here all day. Tommy looked up. How long can I wait? Visiting hours end at 8. Tommy checked his watch. 2:30 p.m., 5.5 hours. Then I'll wait, he said. Tommy folded the letter, placed it in his shirt pocket, and closed his eyes. In the darkness, he could still hear Martinez's voice from that night in Iraq. Promise me, Tommy. When my time comes, you'll be there. Don't let me die alone. You got my word, brother. That was 20 years ago. But promises didn't have expiration dates. By 4 o'clock, the security supervisor had arrived. His name tag read Johnson, and his attitude read zero tolerance. Sir, I've been informed you're loitering without authorization. Tommy opened his eyes. I'm waiting to visit a patient. You've been denied access, multiple times. Johnson's voice carried institutional authority. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Tommy reached into his pocket and withdrew the letter. This man is dying. He asked me to come. Johnson barely glanced at it. That's not official documentation. I need proper ID, proof of relationship, and visiting authorization. He's my brother. Legal brother? Blood relative? Tommy hesitated. We served together. That's not family, sir. You need to leave, now. When Tommy didn't move, Johnson gestured to 2 guards. Gentlemen, escort this individual to the exit. The guards stepped forward. One reached for Tommy's arm. Please don't, Tommy said quietly. I just need to see him. Sir, you're trespassing. Stand up. Tommy stood slowly, the letter still clutched in his hand. As he rose, his cane slipped and clattered to the floor with a sharp ring that echoed through the lobby. The sound drew attention. Conversations paused. Heads turned. In that moment, the second guard reached for the letter. Let me see that. No, Tommy said, pulling back. Please don't. The guard grabbed one corner. Tommy held the other. For a terrible second, they engaged in a quiet tug-of-war over 20-year-old promises. The letter tore. Not completely, but enough. A corner ripped away, taking part of Martinez's signature. Tommy stared at the damaged paper. His face went pale. The fragment fluttered to the linoleum floor. The lobby fell silent. Tommy knelt down, slowly, his bad leg protesting, and picked up the torn piece. His hands shook as he tried to align it with the rest, as if he could undo what had just happened. Someone pulled out a phone and started recording. "Sir," Johnson said, his voice softer now, "you need to leave." Tommy looked up from the damaged letter. His eyes weren't angry. They were heartbroken. 20 years, he whispered. I carried this for 20 years. No one responded. Tommy struggled to his feet, clutching the torn letter. He walked to the corner, sat back down, and began trying to piece it back together, like a puzzle made of promises. Tommy spread the torn letter across his lap with surgical delicacy. He pulled out a small piece of clear tape from his wallet and aligned the fragment with precision. The repair was imperfect. A thin line marked where it had torn, some words partially illegible, but the letter was whole again, mostly. Tommy folded it carefully and placed it against his chest, over his heart. Then he began to speak. Not to the guards, not to the onlookers, but to the letter itself. His voice barely above a whisper, but in the acoustic space of the lobby, every word carried. I'm here, Martinez. I know you can't see me, but I'm here, just like I promised. A woman in scrubs paused nearby, pretending to review charts while listening. Remember Fallujah? That night when the mortar hit your foxhole? You were so scared you were going to die alone. Said you didn't have anybody. Tommy's voice cracked slightly. I told you that wasn't true. Told you that you had me and all the guys. I told you we were family. Remember what you said? He paused, as if waiting for an answer. You said, promise me, Tommy, when my time comes, you'll be there. And I said, you got my word, brother. The woman in scrubs had stopped pretending. She was listening fully now, her eyes growing wet. Well, here I am, sitting in this lobby because some guys with clipboards say I can't keep my promise. But I'm here. Even if all I can do is sit in this chair, I'm here. He pressed the letter against his chest. I'm not leaving, Martinez. Not until you don't need me anymore. Johnson had been watching from across the lobby. Something in Tommy's voice, the absolute conviction, the quiet dignity, made him step closer. Sir, he said, but his tone had changed. Less authoritative, more human. Tommy looked up. I know you're doing your job, but I made a promise to a dying man 20 years ago. I've been carrying that promise ever since. I drove 18 hours to keep it. Johnson studied Tommy's face, the steady gaze, the way he held that damaged letter like the most important document in the world. What's the patient's name? Jose Martinez, room 304. Johnson pulled out his radio. This is Johnson. I need to verify a patient in room 304. Static. Then, confirmed. ICU. Critical condition. Any family present? Negative. Patient keeps asking for someone named Tommy. Johnson looked at the man in the chair. Sir, what's your full name? Thomas Holloway. But he calls me Tommy. Yeah, that's the name. Patient keeps asking when Tommy's gonna get here. For the first time in hours, Tommy smiled. Not from happiness, but from recognition. The knowledge that his promise still mattered. Johnson clipped his radio back. I need to make a phone call. The phone call took 7 minutes. Johnson spoke in hushed tones to someone with authority. When he finished, he walked back to Tommy. Sir, can you stand, please? Tommy's face fell. After everything, he was still being asked to leave. He stood slowly, gripping his cane, but Johnson didn't gesture toward the exit. He gestured toward the elevator. Colonel Hayes would like to speak with you. They rode in silence. Tommy clutched the repaired letter, unsure what to expect. The elevator chimed at the 3rd floor, the same floor as room 304. The doors opened to reveal a man in his 50s, military bearing unmistakable even in civilian clothes. White coat over khakis, but everything about his posture screamed career soldier. He took one look at Tommy and his expression changed completely. Jesus Christ. Tommy Holloway, you carried Martinez for 8 miles through sniper fire. Tommy's mouth fell open. Colonel? Captain Hayes back then? You pulled me out of that burning Humvee 2 days after Martinez got hit, don't you remember? The memories flooded back. A younger face, covered in blood and dust. Panicked radio chatter. The smell of burning fuel. David Hayes, Tommy whispered. You were just a kid. You saved my life. Both of you did. Martinez provided cover fire while you dragged me clear. Hayes extended his hand, not for a handshake, but for the letter. May I? Tommy hesitated, then handed over the repaired paper. Hayes unfolded it carefully, noting the tape, the torn edge, the faded ink. His eyes moved across the words. He wrote this 3 months ago, in Phoenix, before they transferred him here. You know about the letter? I'm the one who helped him send it. He told me about the promise, about Fallujah, about how you never left anyone behind. Hayes handed the letter back with reverence. Room 304 is 20 feet down this hallway. Jose has been asking for you every day for 2 weeks. He's been holding on, waiting. Tommy's voice was barely audible. Is he conscious? Weak, but conscious. The doctors say it could be any time now. Tommy nodded, understanding. Hayes gestured down the hallway. Take all the time you need. Tommy walked slowly toward the room, cane tapping softly. He paused outside room 304. Through the window, he could see a figure in the bed, smaller than he remembered, frailer but unmistakably Martinez. Tommy knocked softly and entered. Hey, brother, he said. Sorry I'm late. Martinez's eyes opened slowly, as if emerging from a deep dream. For a moment, he seemed confused. Then recognition dawned. Tommy? His voice was a whisper, but it carried 20 years of waiting. I'm here, Jose. Just like I promised. Martinez tried to sit up, but the effort was too much. Tommy gently placed a hand on his shoulder. Easy, brother. You got my letter. Tommy pulled the folded paper from his pocket. The tape was still visible, but the words were clear. Every word. Would have been here sooner, but had some trouble with security. Martinez managed a weak smile. Those guys giving you problems? Nothing I couldn't handle. They sat in comfortable silence. Martinez's breathing was labored but steady. Tommy held his friend's hand. Read it to me? Martinez asked. Tommy unfolded the letter. His voice was steady. Tommy, if you're reading this, it means I kept my word about writing it, and you kept yours about coming. I don't have much time left. I'm not scared of dying, brother. I'm scared of dying alone. I never got married, never had kids. The doctors keep asking about next of kin, and I keep telling them that my real family is scattered across the country. But there's one brother I know will come if I call. Remember that night in Fallujah? You crawled through sniper fire to get to me. When you found out I wasn't hurt bad, just scared, you didn't laugh. You said, nobody dies alone in my squad, not ever. This is me calling in that promise. I'm in room 304 at Walter Reed. If you can be here when the time comes, I won't be scared anymore. Your brother, Jose. When Tommy finished, both men had tears in their eyes. You came, Martinez whispered. Of course I came. Martinez squeezed Tommy's hand. Some things can't be broken, can they? Not the important things. Over the next hour, more people appeared quietly. Colonel Hayes, a retired nurse, family members of soldiers they had helped. They didn't speak much. They simply created a circle of presence. At sunset, Martinez's breathing became more labored. Tommy leaned closer. Jose, is there anything else you need? Martinez smiled weakly. Just stay, like you promised. I'm not going anywhere, brother. Martinez closed his eyes. His breathing slowed, and then so quietly that only Tommy heard. Thank you for keeping your word. 10 minutes later, Jose Martinez passed away peacefully, surrounded by the family he thought he'd never had. 3 days later, Walter Reed unveiled a bronze plaque near the main entrance. In honor of those who never leave a brother behind, dedicated to the memory of SSG Jose Martinez and the promise kept by SFC Thomas Holloway. Tommy stood at the back of the dedication ceremony, watching as Hayes read Martinez's letter to over 200 veterans and their families. When he finished, the silence was absolute. Then, one by one, they began to salute, not to the plaque, but to the idea that some promises are too sacred to break. Tommy didn't salute back. He simply bowed his head and whispered, "Mission complete, brother. Some promises are written in blood." This one was kept in silence. Thank you for typing honor. Subscribe for more stories of dignity. Support our mission through Buy Me a Coffee, link in the first pinned comment. Until next time, honor never fades.